Hello, welcome to R Basics. In this module, we're going to be discussing data structures in R. So let's begin. There are four types of data structures in R. There's vector objects, matrix objects, data frames, and list objects. A vector object is a one-dimensional object which contains either all numeric or all character elements. I'm going to be showing you three different types of vector objects: an integer vector, character vector, and numeric vector. And then I'm going to illustrate all three of them, and then I'm going to, when I do this, I'm going to show you the class command, which will provide you information on the type of data structure it is, just to verify what you're viewing. So the integer vector, we're going to create a simple vector x containing integers 1 through 6, and we're going to go to our GUI, and let's look at the contents of it. Integers 1 through 6, and then we're going to go class. Sure enough, it's an integer. So let's go to the next example, character vector. Here I'm using the concatenate command and to actually create the vector containing three characters, ABC. So let's take a look at this. And sure enough, ABC in class. Y. All right, you can see it's a character as well. Now, the numeric vector, I'm going to also use the concatenate command, and we're going to input decimal numbers into it. And then we're going to look at the contents again, and sure enough, that's what we expect. And then we're going to go and run it, and you could see in the class command it's showing it's also numeric. Very straightforward. Now, let's go to matrix objects. A matrix is a two-dimensional object containing rows and columns. All data must be the same type, either all decimal, all integer, or all character. And here we're going to use the matrix command to create this matrix object. Embedded in the command, we're going to use the concatenate command, and we're going to create an object that contains two rows with integer data in it. So let's go ahead and do an illustration of this. I'll do a copy and paste. It's what we expect. And then also we'll do the class command, and it's a matrix. So that played out the way I expected it to. Now, data frames. A data frame is a two-dimensional object containing rows and columns. Now, each column can be a separate type of data, such as numerical or character. A data frame can have one or more rows. Data frames are the most common data structure. I'm going to show you examples of two data frames, a text file and a CSV file. So in example 1, we're looking at a CSV file containing integers that was created with Excel. So we're going to create object T by reading into object T contents of this data file. There you go. There you have it. All that is fictitious information, but illustrates what I wanted to share with you. Now let's look at a text file created with Notepad. So we're going to read in this file here into object D, and then we're going to look at now it has a continuation character because I forgot to copy the right paren, so I'll put the right paren in there. Now it's giving me a warning. It's just telling me that there's a character there in the file that it doesn't quite know how to read, but it did read in the file, and I'll show you it did by. We can look at the contents. That's what the contents should be. And then we're going to look at the class. And it's a data frame. So all that plays out the way we expect. Now, let's go to the list objects. A list object can be composed of objects of different types. They can be matrix, data frames, vectors, lists, as well as lists within lists. So it can be quite complicated. A list object is flexible but can be challenging to work with. Here's an example of creating a list object. I'm putting the information in an object called list1. I'm using the list command. The list command that you see here is going to create three I'll call them sub-objects. Vec standing for vector, mat standing for matrix, and df standing for data frame. And let's go ahead and run this. When I run it, afterwards I'm going to show you the contents of it, and then we're going to do the class command again. So I'm going to copy and paste one line at a time, because if I don't do this way, then it'll give me some problems. Now you see the plus sign again, so it's expecting additional arguments. So we'll do the same. We'll copy the next line. And then finally we'll copy the last line here. And then what you see now is just the right paren. So I'll put a right paren. Okay. Now let's look at the contents of it. Okay. So you see exactly what I showed you in the slide. And then class. And we can see it's a list object. That completes this module. I want to thank you for viewing R Basics. Please take some time and look at the R Basics channel. There's a number of other modules. Two that I'd suggest after this one would be reading data into the R GUI and reading data into RStudio. Thank you once again for your attention.